So just this morning, patch 4.1 went live, and one of the most notable features of this patch was the blanket buff to bolt weapons, which have been underperforming according to both the community consensus and the developer since launch. And for several hours this morning, I've been playing around with a wide variety of bolt weapons, and I have to say, some of them feel incredible now, including one that the community collectively disregarded as trash before now. One of these bolt weapons actually netted me 500 kills in one operation and over 31,000 ranged damage, which is absolutely insane for a match-made operation, right? It wasn't just like babysitting an ammo crate on solo Ruthless. This was a match-made Ruthless op, and my teammates had like a grenade launcher, bolt rifle, and Melta, so more on that in a minute. But let's chat a bit about what changed on paper and how that affects how these weapons feel in-game. Alrighty, so here are the numbers for the buffs this patch. Some are certainly greater than others, but as we'll see shortly, it's not always about the number on paper as much as it is the number in practice. So first up, we have the auto bolt rifle on the tactical, getting a 20% buff to its damage. That's actually the biggest buff in the patch, by the way, on paper. Nothing else got that large of an increase to its damage. To put that buff into perspective, that makes it really similar in damage profile now to what the heavy bolt was before this buff. So similar to using a heavy bolt rifle like last week, say. So I gotta say, auto bolt is, it feels respectable. It does a great job of staying on top of my Norris enemies while also doing decent damage to larger enemies. I basically soloed this Neurothrope with it because both of my teammates just up and left. The Bulwark, to his credit, he did eventually return, but I had the Neurothrope almost dead. But the Auto Bolt was able to carry the weight here on this fight and get the thing down. And here's really the thing about the Auto Bolt. It's not exceptional at any one thing, right? But it's now at least respectable at everything. Sort of like a jack of all trades, master of none kind of a weapon. It's sort of like an all-purpose weapon now. It'll just get the job done. It's like a Honda minivan, right? It ain't sexy, and it won't get you there fast, but it does get decent gas mileage, and it won't break down for another 200,000 miles. That is the auto bolt rifle now, basically. And then after that, we've got the standard bolt rifle getting a 10% buff. This one was already one of the biggest damage bolt rifles in the game, previously doing 17 to the head before this buff, which was considerably higher than the heavy bolts, for example, 11, or the auto bolts 8, I think it was. So that one is getting a little bit better. The heavy bolt got a 15% buff, so this thing cooks pretty well now, honestly. It's highly accurate, it's got a great mag size, it eats up smaller enemies, it's okay at single target damage. It's pretty similar in practice to the auto bolt. I always tell people between these two, it's like pick your poison, whichever one you prefer. You want a faster rate of fire, or do you want a more accurate, slower rate of fire? Pick which one feels better to you personally. Both of them are respectable now. The Stalker got a 10% buff. Not a big buff. This thing was already actually one of the better bolts in the game. It did very respectable damage to larger threats. That's kind of what it's all about. I still think the Stalker is one of the best weapons, specifically for Chaos Marines. It's a great weapon for just looking, because they can teleport wherever they want to teleport. It doesn't matter to me. If I've got a Stalker bolt, I can start popping them in the head and get really good damage on them. The Marksman Bolt Carbine got a 10% buff as well. So did the Instigator, which I'm a big fan of on the Vanguard. I'm a big Instigator fan. But the Bolt Sniper. The Bolt Sniper got a 12.5% damage increase. I gotta tell you, it feels really good, right? I was cooking majors with this thing. And you'll see some of that in the background gameplay. I really like the immediacy of the Bolt Sniper as opposed to the charge up of the Las Fusel. I'm not going to lie to you and try to sell you on some idea that the Bolt Sniper is somehow better than the Las Fusel. The Fusel's damage is insane. The width of the beam is insane. It does everything. But that being said, I feel like I can really control exactly when and where my bullet is going with the immediacy of the bolt, which works really well with the infinite invisibility loop. I was able to solo Ruthless clear Reliquary with this and Fall of Atreus, and it felt really good. I think this weapon is extremely respectable. I liked it before, I like it even more now. The Bolt Carbine SMG, I actually really like this thing. I think it's a really fun little pocket rocket of a weapon, especially on Sniper. You can play this really fun guerrilla style build, which I did make a video on. It just got better, right? 15% more damage now, which was definitely needed. Same with the Oculus Bolt. Oculus Bolt was trash. I still think it's trash, though. I still wouldn't take the Oculus over the Instigator in a million years. And finally, we've got the Heavy Bolter on the Heavy class. We'll talk about this one for a second. This one right here, this is why numbers on a page don't always tell the full story, okay? 5%, that's all they did to the Heavy Bolter was a 5% damage buff. But I gotta tell you guys, this thing is cooking majors in a way it wasn't really doing before. I mean, it was always really respectable in that department, but it was better at ad clearing. The damage on this now gets bumped up to 19, which is, in a single bullet, that's not a massive upgrade, but over the course of 30 bullets, 40 bullets, now you've got a really big shift in TTKs for bigger threats. This was one of the most fun weapons to revisit for me, and this is the one that put up over 31,000 range damage in a single op with no bots in it, right? In fact, one teammate was even spamming the grenade launcher on tactical, and he still couldn't keep up with me. But on top of that, the damage buff directly boosted survivability for the Heavy as well. So I'm using the perk in the tree that gives me 15% more contested health when I'm in my Heavy stance. And now that I'm doing more damage more rapidly, that means I'm making better gains on my contested health as well, better than I was before. It's like all compounding here. So I always thought the Heavy Bolter deserved a seat at the table, but seeing what it's capable of now on Ruthless, I think it's a genuine contender for maybe your main Heavy build, if not only because it's extremely fun and ammo efficient on top of being extremely effective. In terms of whether or not these things are meta now, I think time will tell, but I certainly think that there are a lot of bolt weapons that sort of deserve your attention these days, especially after the buffs. I think the Bolt Sniper, the Heavy Bolter, even the Heavy Bolt Rifle on Tactical, getting a bit of a kick in the pants here to sort of push it up over that mediocre hump, I think, into like good territory, really good territory. I think they definitely deserve your attention. So it's a great way to create replayability in the game anyways. I recommend you pick one of these, 1, 2, maybe even 3 of them. Start leveling them up. If you have them leveled up, revisit them, see how they feel now. And it's more than just equipping it. Make sure you check out your perks in your class trees as well, because some of these class trees do actually have specific perks that target bolt weapons and make them better. So make sure you're looking at that as well. But I want to hear from you guys also, like which bolt weapons are feeling the best to you personally? Do you think these buffs will change anything overall, or will people still gravitate to the same things that they've been using in the game? Personally, I think this patch was a great way to bring the bolt rifles up without nerfing the competition, right? Giving people more options is always a great thing in games like this, and it increases, like I said, replayability. But I definitely want to hear from you as well, so sound off below. Thanks as always for watching the video today, and thanks for your support on the channel and your viewership. If you enjoyed the video today, then would you consider leaving a like on it, as that is the best free way to support the content right here on YouTube, and consider subscribing for even more Space Marine content. Hey, be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Courage and honor.